Zombie Nazis. That's what this movie's about. Dead Snow. It was released in 2008. I don't know if it's like a Russian movie or Norwegian. I think it's Norwegian because they're in Norway on a ski trip in this movie. Directed by a guy named Tommy Wirkola. Yeah, this movie didn't really Wirkola very well. It's pretty bad, pretty terrible movie. Had a really bad heavy metal soundtrack and stuff too. I hate it when horror movies are always injecting this really bad heavy metal music into their movies. Phantassm, Michael King said this movie had really good production value for like a low budget movie, and he's right. Like, it looks kind of like a high budget movie. It doesn't look low budget at all. Anyway, there's this very cliche thing. I even talked about this in the movie I reviewed last, about this group of kids. They're on this road trip. They go to this secluded place. There's no phone, of course, no cell phone reception. Although at one point, they're fighting the zombies, and one guy lights the cabin on fire by accident, throws a Molotov cocktail and blows up in the house, and then the guy phones and it works. He's like, calls 911 or something, and he gets reception then. It's just like mind-bogglingly bad. But yeah, these Nazi zombies, I guess there's a battalion of really hardcore, ruthless Nazis that were driven out of town by these villagers by the end of World War II. These villagers, got all these weapons and started fighting them and drove them out into the mountains where they, the Nazis got away and they're never seen of again, and they thought they just froze to death. But they were zombies, apparently. What's really going on in this movie, like how it ends, is they're after this treasure that was in the cabin, because they find all this kind of iron eagle, whatever those eagle things are, made out of gold and gold coins and shit like that. There's lots of guts in this movie too. Here's a part where the guy's dangling from a Nazi zombie's intestine. The zombies bleed in here. Normally in zombie movies, they treat the zombies like corpses and they just kind of ooze this black brown type shit, but here they bleed like red blood. And, like, the zombies in here think they can climb trees. They're pretty good at hand-to-hand combat. They can use knives. But yeah, there's also this kind of gross part at the beginning when they're all just partying in the cabin, and this fat guy who plays this nerdy kind of movie buff, he goes to the outhouse to take a shit, and a girl follows him out there, and he's wiping his ass, and then the girl comes in there and like straddles him and takes his like shitty fingers and like licks it. She's got some sort of shit fetish where she like shit in her mouth, and they have sex in the outhouse while he's taking a shit. And it's just, what the fuck? It's disgusting, but like, the gore is alright, but the movie's such a joke that it doesn't really make the movie any good. Like, you see a guy getting his head tore apart, dangling over a cliff from something's intestines. There's a guy who gets ripped limb from limb, and it's like really, really bloody. There's lots of guts in this movie, lots of intestines and shit like that, but it's such a stupid movie. And then it does something that the other movie I reviewed in my last review does too. It's where these guys go in the work shed and they like, get a chainsaw, and there's another like, they're chainsawing people apart. These two guys, because everyone else is dead by then, these two guys are just holding their own against this battalion of Nazi zombies, shredding them and taking a sledgehammer to their heads and stuff, having this big bloody war. And after a while, it's just the two of them and the Nazi leader zombie, the commander, whatever the fuck his name is. And he goes, "Arise!" in whatever language they're talking in, and all these other zombie Nazis come out of the ground, and I don't know, he gets bit and he amputates his arm off, and then he gets his dick bit. He's like, it's so stupid, but like, this movie was really, really dumb. And while he's amputating his arm too, his friend's just standing there like, "What are you doing? Hey, don't do that." He's like not trying to stop him at all in the least. And then he's getting bit in the dick by a zombie, and he's still standing there, "Hey, do you need help? Hey, what's going on?" But yeah, really, really dumb movie. Not very good at all. If I had seen this before the movie I saw yesterday, I'd probably give it a lower rating, but the movie I reviewed yesterday was so terrible that I'd give this one a little better rating, because at least it had, it wouldn't have like a country narrator or anything. But here's the zombies. That's the leader guy right there. Yeah, not a lot to this movie. It's pretty stupid. A lot of people on the internet actually gave it a good review and said it reminded them of like Shaun of the Dead and Evil Dead. It's not like those movies at all. It doesn't have the directorial skills or the special effects or anything like that. Like this does have special effects, but they weren't as cool as Evil Dead. It's nowhere near as good. This is a very bad movie. This movie, like, it tried to make jokes too, like with the part where I mentioned the guy got his head torn in half and his brains came out, and he's like, his friend's yelling at his body. He's like, "We should have went to the beach." I'm like, "What is this, a joke?" But yeah, it's subtitled too. And sometimes the subtitles go by, because sometimes they'll have a big paragraph of subtitles. You have to read it in like 2 seconds. Like literally, just have this big thing, and you're just like, "What?" And then you don't want to like pause it and rewind it because you don't really care what these people are saying. But yeah, right, this part right here, she's gonna find a crow and beat its head into the tree too. Like, I don't know. It's a fucking stupid movie. It's not good at all.